Welcome back in, guys. 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon here as we head towards the long weekend. As the guys were mentioning, enjoy that, by the way. Both sides of the border, too, which is a rarity as far as the holidays coordinating around here. But here we go. A lot to look at this afternoon. Mind the wicks down here for Apple, but wanted to mention market, just for the record, the NASDAQ specifically down 0.25%. Here's Apple pushing 0.7 to the upside. So it's been relatively strong all week long. Continues to be that way heading into the weekend here. So we're testing the highs even right now for Apple. We'll come back to that. Here's a look at the S&P 500 overall. Yeah, still a few areas of concern and a few areas of question in the red, continuing to be Tesla primarily, almost 5% to the downside. Some of the retailers gave up early gains, including Walmart and Costco, now down a full percent. Amazon as well, 0.5% to the downside. NVIDIA, Broadcom, these two have been responsible for limiting the gains overall all day. If you missed it, or if you're just watching the market for the first time, 5.5% here for Broadcom coming off of earnings. We were discussing in the pre-market whether or not that was going to be an influence on some of the other ones. And answer yes, clearly, 1.6% there for NVIDIA, but, big but, Intel, AMD, and Qualcomm down there, all positive and nicely positive. It's worth mentioning, 3.75, 3.9 for Intel. 0.5% for Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Oracle, all pretty flat. Banks are strong. Energy stocks are strong. Some of the industrial names are strong this afternoon. So we'll keep an eye on XOM, CVX, MRO even having a nice day as well. But oil, I mean, it's at the top end of the range, but still kind of chopping around. If you missed it, we did the very first version and the very first attempt at lunch money with Neil back at 12 o'clock. Go back, rewind the tape, watch that. A ton of individual movers that pop up between 9:30 and 12 o'clock. We'll bring those to you every day at lunchtime. And the whole point, to get you some lunch money, as the actual name says, right? One of these was Affirm. I just saw this, Affirm taking out the highs here on decent volume over the past 5 minutes. So we'll keep an eye on Affirm overall. Economic engine cools in the U.S. If you rewind the clock back to 8:30 this morning, we had the August non-farm payrolls number. Comes in higher than expected, but, and there's a big but here, and I want to highlight this. I saw a few people mentioning, or a few analysts talking about this since last we spoke. If you go back to this is tough to see, hold on. Give me a second. 187 here. That was the prior print. And then we come out 187 today, exactly the same. So it seems like the positivity coming from this report today was centered around and focused on the fact that it didn't go up on a month-over-month basis, even though 170 was expected. Again, we come out 187, kind of in line with expectations. The other side of that, 3.8% versus 3.5% on the unemployment rate. So that is well indicating that maybe, kind of, sort of, finally, we're almost getting some cooling in what has been a very, very hot employment market. So let's get into a few things that we were talking about if you're with us again in the pre-market. AVGO, you didn't just walk through the shot there. Good job. You did not. You did not. Sharif just jumping in. We'll talk about the chips. Good job. We were talking about the chips in relation to the way this was acting in the pre-market, and by this I mean Broadcom. Downside, obviously, coming off their report after the close yesterday. And my question at the time was, will this be an effect on the rest of the sector? And it seems like, outside of NVIDIA, no, but NVIDIA down as well.
Yeah, AMD was an absolute rocket today, though. We still don't have an explanation for what's going on. At least I can't find one on my blotter at the moment. But yeah, it has sold off earlier in the week. So you wonder if there is some repositioning in this name as it sold off near the 100 level.
Yeah, you made a good point this morning, bringing up the simple fact that anyone and everyone, included, who missed this NVIDIA move has been searching for and throwing darts at, let's be honest, the next, when it comes to the AI front, AVGO. I mean, it is what it is, but down 5% today.
Yeah, a lot of people can't stomach the valuation that NVIDIA presents at the moment, and that may just be their own problem because they're the ones that are performing at the moment. They're the ones with the ecosystem. I mentioned earlier in the week that they not only supply the GPUs, but the software that comes with the GPUs, and thereby locking you into that ecosystem. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. I mean, obviously a $900 stock in Broadcom, guys, but down day across the board for both NVIDIA and AVGO.
Yeah, if you look at those chips, it's been definitely a tale of two cities, or two stories for sure, with AMD Intel looking strong. Probably Micron, I haven't looked at it. I'm assuming it's probably up there. And NVIDIA just getting its butt kicked in the morning. Look, NVIDIA actually might set up for a short here, so let's just get to this one right away, because we finished the morning show with a 488 short trade, and then it came back at lunchtime right into 48 for a couple of tries in there. I trailed out for a couple of dollars the last I was in it, and if it fails VWAP, maybe I look for that. But until then, I'm looking at that 488 level for a short on NVIDIA. Other side of the coin, sometimes if you can't beat them, join them, but I didn't do a very good job of joining the trend and holding on to it with AMD. We're shorted off the 108 level several times here. You can see that's yesterday's high as well. Got a couple of nice moves down into 107, reloads, tight stops. I then went into a breakout trade in AMD, which I didn't really love, scalped some out, stopped underneath 8, and then only to watch it trend to the upside. And I'm nowhere to be found on that one. So a little bit frustrated because it held that 108 level. I essentially got out and then got up, took a break, that kind of good stuff, and grabbed lunch, all that. And then by the time I got back into this to look for the long, it was already gonzo on AMD. So this is the strong one to have. I don't know why I have a lineup here. Let me just get rid of this because I don't really need it. But yeah, AMD's the one you're looking for the trend long. Underneath 488, I'm still thinking short because that's the range on NVIDIA. And Broadcom, that's a no trade zone for me, unfortunately. It's just not a stock that we really look to trade. It's not a great day trading stock in the first place anyways. And we were talking about Lunch Money, the inaugural episode of Lunch Money. That's the word that we keep searching for. And one of the names, I'm in it right now because it's set up, and we'll get to Affirm, but Brennan teed up. I'm long Affirm. That was one of the setups that I liked at Lunch Money. I'm like, why not just be in it? So it's set up for a breakout trade, and I do have the break of the range on Affirm. But these chip names, just make sure you drop those two buckets in there. For now, NVIDIA a week with Broadcom, AMD, and Intel, super strong names. I think you're looking long until the trend breaks here.
Yeah. I haven't done too much. Took a few scalps in the lunch hour. Got
Muted.
Oh, unmuted.
You got to have at least one mute in there.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I haven't done too much over the lunch hour. Just to taking a few scalps here on Google and the SPYs. Here, kind of Google comes back in. We can see what it's been doing, kind of a range. But yeah, I was fighting the trend on SPYs, and I told myself, well, I'm doing a little bit of more of the same, fighting the trend, so I might as well kind of get with the trend. So I started a little bit of a short here on Google, and then a little bit of a short on SPY as well after some bag holding. I'll admit it. It was a bit of bag holding here. I should have gotten out much earlier, but it's fine. But other than that, we came all the way back down and tested in and around that 15.5 right around the time that we left you, and we're still right there. Haven't really gone too far off of that level. Still consolidating in and around this 15.5. End of the week, before a long weekend, I don't expect too much.
Long weekend? What? Oh, I should probably make some plans then. Damn it.
What are your plans for the long weekend?
Fantasy football, man.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not entirely true. That's not the only thing I have planned. Like a good friend of mine from my roommate in university, actually, he's having a pool party at his house on Labor Day, and then our fantasy football pool's on Sunday, so that should be pretty safe. Sean's in that pool as well. So, and someone asked us earlier, like, what's the punishment for coming last in our fantasy league? It's a bunch of high school guys. We've known each other obviously for a long time. I won't say how long. You can figure it out. Basically, you're the butler of the draft. So if you come in, whoever comes in last place has to supply the food, and they're supposed to serve. Now, the serving part, it isn't what it used to be. Like when we first started out, like you wore like an apron, and you had like a notepad and everything, and you had to go around taking drink orders and stuff. That was pretty cool. Now it's kind of tamed down, and people buy the food, and how much they serve is kind of a different thing because there's too much pride in the room. And there's a lot of side bets. Almost all the side bets involve things like eating ridiculous amounts of hot wings or just something stupid. Like some guy had to do 100 burpees during the draft.
Wow.
He'd make his pick and he'd drop and do like 10 burpees. And then, that was kind of a dumb idea.
10 picks, 10 burpees each time.
And like, let's just say that, you know, we're all in this pool, obviously, over the age of 40. So this wasn't a situation where 100 burpees were coming easily for this dude. It was a mess. I think we let him stop after 50 or so.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. If you, yeah, you don't want to push yourself too much.
That's my weekend.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't know. It's I don't have anything too crazy planned. Just trying to chill out. I had family over the past couple of weeks, and this is gonna be first weekend kind of by myself or with myself, I guess. Yeah, maybe watch a couple movies, relax, do some gaming, catch up on some sleep. Yeah, definitely need some of that. And yeah,
sleep is key. Everyone's been getting sick all week, man. Get all the sleep you can. That's for sure. And just to get one thing out of the way, because Sharif came by here right before we came on there. I'm just going to call him out. And he stole some hauls because obviously everyone's been getting a little bit under the weather. And then I'm like, what, you're just going to steal the hauls off our table? And he's like, well, you're the one that got everybody sick. I'm like, first of all, no, because you got to, like, we pride ourselves on this show about keeping it real and telling the truth, right? So everybody here knows Sean was patient zero, okay? Like, let's be real about this. It's not, everybody knows it. You guys were all watching the show last week. So as far as I'm concerned, we'd all blame Sean. So don't put it on me. I'm not patient zero. I might have been out the longest, but I'm definitely not patient zero. So I don't want that smoke on me, bro. If you want to steal our hauls, which are down to like 3 or 4, then you got to keep it real. Back to the desk.
No.
No.
Let's go. Lulu trying to take out the highs here. 404 was a bit of a resistance on the first time up there, but I mean, we're getting a bit of a pullback. If you missed it this morning, yeah, nice look. Beat right across the board. Comparable store sales even up 11%. Strong guidance, although there were some, as I mentioned this morning, there were some comments made on the call that were more cautionary as far as demand is concerned, but I think we've heard that from pretty much everyone.
Yeah, 5 3/4% on the day. You can't really complain about that. Let's talk about how they did. Well, they grew their China sales year over year, 61% on the quarter. That was very surprising to me, especially we've been hearing about the Chinese consumer being squeezed, the Chinese economy in general having a tough time. They're also expanding their outlook. They're looking to expand their men's apparel. They're looking to expand more direct to consumer. They're opening up more brick and mortar stores. This is all CapEx, guys, that they're spending all the while maintaining their margins. Last year, they had a glut of inventory that they were able to get through without dropping prices. That's a good look for them, Brent.
Yeah, I really like their running shoes. I don't know if you've ever tried them.
I haven't tried them.
They're actually pretty good. My wife is a huge fan. The one kind of question mark I have with that statement on expanding their apparel line and things like that is $150 for a dress shirt. I mean, that seems to be the norm depending on where you go, but wow. 480, meanwhile, here from Barclays seems to be the top end as far as price targets are concerned, but all of the analysts, you can see, like there's an entire page here of upward revisions after that report from Lulu today.
It was kind of good, wasn't it? I wish I could say I stuck with the long, not necessarily well enough, and we kind of outlined what this was doing on the weekly in terms of a breakout, right? You can talk all the great things about the company and the report because it was a good report, but really, when you pop this weekly up, it was a nice consolidation breakout. We said if it got above 400, that could be a potential break. I don't think I had the break done really well. We did have the dip buy in the morning, which is essentially right on the money. So that's a missed opportunity not to be long somewhere off this dip into 400 because I had the original 400 break. But we like that 386 dip. I should point out that the last time I liked the 386 breakout, it was a clean $10 move and then showed you resistance again. So to me, there was one dip buy zone. It wicked underneath it, immediately gave you the 390 push. The 400 level trade, if I'm willing to miss this trade the first time for the breakout and give it $1.50, then when it comes back after breaking it the second time, it dipped to 400. I just wasn't there. So I'm not chasing this move because I thought we'd get to 405 for this. So chasing it at 404 doesn't necessarily make any sense. But I thought 400 to 405 made some sense. And if you grab that dip buy, sometimes it's not the first time it goes. You got to be willing to stick with it, either when it breaks a second time or on that dip, even a third time to trade off of that level. I traded it once and then I walked away from Lululemon. So even if it was great this morning, because that initial dip buy trade where I'm looking for target, like that was just like in, out, risk a buck, make 3-4, easy, close to 5 if you got it right. And sometimes that's an easily available trade where you're looking for places to rejoin the trend. Just didn't find the place to rejoin the trend for myself today. But was only ever looking long in Lulu. I don't know why you'd be short this stock here today. I have not seen any level outside of the original fail break of 400 that I would even want to touch this in the other direction.
Yeah, no, definitely agreed. We were talking about how we were breaking that consolidation this morning, and take a look at how far we've gotten, right? Taking a look left, this is the weekly chart here. Double top on the weekly right here, roughly around 394.50 ish, and then look at the consolidation that we're coming into today, just in 1 second. But the next stop here, 410. Take a look at this right here. So the consolidation on the day, right on top of that level right here, 395.50, 394 is kind of breaks that pre-market high, holds above that, and continues on really strong earnings, Lululemon.
And fade to black. It's not 4 o'clock yet there, Fabian. Let's go to Chinese deliveries, or Chinese EV deliveries. Here's Li Auto. I was just reading a note on Li Auto. They're back to 42.30. Back and forth we go. It hasn't been, I mean, it's a strong day, but it hasn't been a directional day, I guess is the word I'm looking for. 664% to the upside as far as month-over-month deliveries, or year, what am I trying to say? August deliveries. Hold on, I'll get it. August deliveries year over year, 664%.
Yeah, it was a big move, no question about that. It really owes to the fact that they focused on the SUV right from the get-go. That Li Li8, I believe they call it, was a standout vehicle. They're producing them hand over fist. The sedans coming in at number 2 and number 3. NIO really not focusing on SUVs. XPeng coming in late to the party with that G6 SUV. It's done very well since they've released it, though. Sold out everywhere. But let's be real. Like I talked about this morning, it's Tesla and it's BYD that are heading this market up. I'm talking about the Chinese market.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that in the price action today as well. Pretty quiet, guys, as far as all of these are concerned.
Yeah, like I eventually got to the long on XPeng, but I'm looking over and it's like this is an easy mistake. And I think sometimes like you get cute, trade 2 stocks instead of 1. So I immediately didn't want to trade Li Auto because the volume's always pretty poor on Li Auto. That's just the truth. NIO always has better volume. I looked at 1080 as resistance. I'm like, if it's not breaking there, I want to be short underneath. So the second it ticked up to that price, dropped down and consolidated, shorted it in the 60s, gave it to the local high, stopped it out. Now, this is where I probably should have been reversing, is it's holding above that high and breaking out at that level. Instead, I got cute, liked long better on XPeng, and went over to XPeng. And XPeng was fine. I got a 19.30 long above the quarter breakout, got 20 cents, and then got 50 cents there. So I didn't mind going over here. However, if you look at the gap in between me getting that long in XPeng versus getting out of NIO, I could have just reversed into NIO and captured a better move, right? Like from the point that I got out, when it's a consolidation long off the same 1080 level, and it goes 50 cents. Well, last I checked, this is $11 stock. 50 cents on this is better than 50 cents on XPeng, and I would have been long this earlier, probably with more conviction because I trade NIO more than I trade XPeng. So a bit of a mistake. Eventually, got out of the way of it, flipped into a long in the EV names, but it was the wrong one. I should have been long NIO, and I should have been long NIO right above the one resistance level I was shorting in front of. And that's it. It ends up holding on the dip, that 1080 level that I liked, it holds 1085 in the afternoon. So even on the pullback, this ends up holding right above that 1080 level that we're short out in front of us. So it is what it is. Sometimes you look back, you have to be able to analyze your trades and say, okay, well, I took out the short, didn't average in, wasn't really looking for the scalp trade, was looking for the home run down, and we found ourselves into a long. That's all well and good, but we could have been earlier to the long and at a better price if we traded a different stock. So you can sit there and celebrate that you captured a 50-cent move, or you could realize that you missed a bigger opportunity by moving and trading 2 stocks instead of just sticking with the one on NIO. But I wasn't really thinking anything but, okay, I have a resistance level on NIO. If it fails that or shows weakness, I want to short it. It didn't flip the script and say, okay, do I like the breakout? Ask yourself the question when you have a key level. Do I want to trade it in both directions? What do I do if that level breaks? I know I'm getting out of that short. Do I like the long of that price? You can at least evaluate that decision pre-market. And I didn't evaluate that decision pre-market. And that's what happens. You're not ready to reverse because I wasn't really thinking about it at any point. If you do that work, I knew I liked X-paying longs above this 1930. What I didn't do is ask myself if there was another long I liked if we started to see some breakout strength in the EV name. So sometimes just having a winner in there isn't really enough because you can make your trading more efficient by sticking to one name or at least doing the work on a couple of extra ones.
Yeah, I haven't really taken any trades on these EVs, but yeah, Ally didn't really do too much out the open off of those delivery numbers, right? You have that reaction that kind of comes into like this overall long-term few day trend that we've been holding to the downside. Like whenever we have heavy sells, you get scooped up kind of at the support, and we saw a little bit of more of the same on that. And then you try to attempt that pre-market high at the same time. There, oh nice, I see Google's working out. Okay, so yeah, you try to push that pre-market high. You wick top it, come back in, and kind of just consolidate. Look how tight this price action is getting. A little indecisive right now. Maybe I'll be looking for that potential break up or below, but like down below is where the support is that we've seen over the past not only a couple of days, but since we've had kind of this base here and the kind of like you can see these wicks on the 15, and we start to stabilize. And when that strength comes in from around that price, you kind of have that support building, even though we had this pop and drop a couple days ago as well on heavy volume. I forget what this was, but probably, I think it was off of some news. But yeah, holding that hourly trend.
All right, cannabis stocks were on the list there, but I was kind of watching this UPTD just halted again downside. Did try to go back above 26 and then just got absolutely slammed down below 24. So $2 reversal there on heavy volume as well. So halted right now again for UPTD. Yeah, we were considering some of these cannabis stocks this morning. We even mentioned it with Michael Noss, who was, let's be honest, he was flaunting his Tilray position that he put on while he was here in the studio going back to last weekend. But I mean, good on him. You never know when news is going to come out, right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, he took the trade well before because of completely unrelated reasons, but good on him. Great trade, Mr. Noss. MSOS. I did try to go again, but comes right back down. Kind of a grind then to the downside today.
Yeah, Michael Noss will make the case that the technicals lead the fundamentals, or so he'll have you believe. Shout out to charter market technicians. But let's look at Tilray. It's up, 3/4 of a point on the day. It's holding this trend line here, but it did actually break below $3. And that's the level I've been looking for it to hold, Brendo. In case you're just wondering, the Department of Health and Human Services advising the Drug Enforcement Agency to reduce the schedule from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, which is prompting some to believe that we may see legalizations.
Yeah, let's see what happens here, guys, with cannabis south of the border. But not much to do here today.
For a breakout, that's what happens when if I like a stock because of a chance for it to squeeze, then it has to break highs and scare shorts. That just didn't happen. The pre-market's the only time it was above Friday's high. The second it opened up, it opened rejecting Friday's high and trended down. It found dip support at 285. So if I was going dip today, if I was dip buy trading instead of looking for a breakout, it gave you pretty much a perfect entry off that 285. Now I don't see much of anything except the stock at VWAP not doing volume and kind of looking to roll over here. So look for next week. I still like the 320. If 320 wants to go, that's probably a breakout I like. There was a question in the chat that I feel like I tried to answer because someone asked, why is AMD strong? Why is NVIDIA to the downside? And the Q's weak. So why that move? The only answer I could give you for NVIDIA's relative weakness, the market's relatively weak, so that makes sense. It rejected underneath 500 again today. So I think that's one good reason why it's weak. As far as why AMD is as strong as it is, your guess is as good as mine. You can always try to find something after the fact, like this is why everybody likes it, or you can find something in the AVGO report that gives it some strength. But ever since it bounced off 100, it's been in a pretty clean upward trend until 110, which is today, and it's back at the 50 period. Now the 50 period on the daily, it's worth mentioning, AMD has been rejecting this for the last, at least the last month. Last time it was closing above it, and even then it's just like a couple of days above. So this 110, 111 looks like real resistance for AMD in this move. If it can break the high of the day today, the 50 period on the daily is at 111, and the current high is at 110. So there might be a chance if this continues strength, it gets up there, but I'm looking at this move in the futures that's happening right now, and you just saw my NVIDIA chart where I didn't get my short. I'm thinking I need to get out of this firm. I'm thinking this is something which can certainly turn into a break back to the downside here, because 15.5, we just cannot hold above that level once again. So no cannabis trades here, but this market showing some signs of a turn here.
Yeah, I didn't really take any of the trades there. We were watching that MSOS. Didn't really do too much. Bit of sideways action in and around that 7. Same thing with Tilray. Now I know some people had other names as well. We know that there's the what's the other? There's CGC as well. There's Tilray, and then there's a couple of ETFs like that MSOS. But yeah, nothing too crazy here. Expecting to catch a bid right over the next little bit here. But yeah, going into the long weekend, I don't expect that bid to really show up as strong. But we did see that kind of happen the past 2 days. So bit of a diddle. Nothing too crazy, but something to note, we are still holding these previous highs on Tilray.
Watch out for Amazon.
I was looking at we were talking about Walmart. Retail in general is pretty impressive today. One standout here to the downside, day lows right now, in fact, on heavy volume, Tesla just cannot get out of its own way today. There was a few minor headlines. I mean, we showed that revised Model 3 version that made its debut over in China today. More price cuts coming through in the US, meanwhile, for the Model S and the Model X. I mean, still way too expensive as far as I'm concerned, but yeah, I mean, not much to say here as far as Tesla's concerned. The standout even in the market today on the weak side.
Yeah, and it was a tough one because they reduced the price of the X and the S in China and the States. I misquoted myself today when I said it was only in China, 10 to 14%, but here's a saving grace with respect to their margins. These are their most expensive models. Definitely a lot more margin on the S and the X than there is on the Y and the 3. So that's first and foremost. Second of all, Brendo, this trade's pretty wild. And there is an interesting level of support here. If we go to the chart, I don't know how Obi and Neil feel about this, but we had a couple of crests here stemming from the 22nd to about the 28th, where we're at right now. So interesting look.
Yeah, watch out below because don't look now. The market's about to make a low too on the day, guys.
Yeah, and I could be back at Rivian in a quick second. I just got out of a firm that trailed out. It was in the money, but that was a stock that's relatively strong, up 4.5%. Tesla is getting very close to the breakout price at 241 level. Love the 241 level. We mentioned that this morning. If it gets down here, that's probably the only spot that I'd be looking for a bounce. It had a breakout there. If you look at it on the 29th, there was resistance on Monday, and then on Tuesday, it was kind of a breakout at that price. So I think that's a decent level there for Tesla. Rivian, I was short this one early for some success off of the Friday high. When it rolled underneath, I waited for a curl, got the short, it worked down to 23 even, tried to reload, then it continued to break out. And I'm just, if we're at 3% now, we're going back, and if we trend to the bottom, I still am of the mind that if we get back underneath, that's the same like 23.50 to 30 area. I like this for a retracement short on Rivian. If you look at what it's trying to do, it's trying to glide off that 50 period. So it's in the midst of attempting to break back out of what has been a pretty big pullback. And any kind of rejection, I think it can retest the 50 period moving average on the daily. And I'm talking about the market, which is still gliding a little bit range bound, breaking these lows. If it breaks these lows, I want something playing catch up. I like Amazon under 137 if it can do that. But certainly if we do break these lows on the NASDAQ and we start trending into the afternoon, going into a long weekend, then something which has been up 5-6 days in a row which is showing some signs of rejection. I'm going to come right back to this for playing catch up because it's a huge gap to be filled. And each time it's been under 23, it's seen 22.5, and it's seen it pretty quickly. So if it does that again, I want to be a part of it here in Rivian. Also a little bit of sympathy play for Tesla, but just watch out for Tesla bouncing off 241 initially. I think you want to be shorting pops here on Tesla into the afternoon, but I'm still also looking at this Rivian for a short.
Yeah, just that Google working out for us on that market drop down. Covered most of it here, just waiting for that last fill to kind of clip in for us here. But yeah, decent. Like I finally got with the trend, and then the trend is a lot more forgiving, right? And there we go. We got our final out there, right there. As we push into that 135, right? Like all day we've been kind of churning and ranging in between, in and around that 135 and that 136. So yeah, we tried the long in the morning, but didn't really happen. Got short. Got back in, so yeah, it seems to have worked out decently on top of the 135. But yeah, that Tesla, man, that Tesla is coming in real hot off that 260. We know all week we tried to push distinctly past 260, couldn't really get there, and then end of the week, what do we expect? A little bit of profit taking, a lot of bit of profit taking, as Tesla's done almost a 20-point move all the way back down to the downside. Yes, I will be waiting for that 240, Neil.
I almost see how can you not be? What did I hear there?
What's that?
Oh, right before we have to go back over to fake Brendan in a second, or to actual Brendan. But I mentioned Amazon 137. I just want to quickly point it out there, just in case this pops in, because we're at 137.10. It is yesterday's afternoon support. It's bounced once, twice, 3, 4, 5, possibly now a 6th time off 137. I like the short, but it probably has to get underneath 136.80. And then you look for like an actual low to be made for a huge gap fill. Other than that, it's a scalp trade long off 137. It's a big level. Obviously, for levels like this, you want to scalp off of them. And once it breaks, I'm definitely willing to go short, but it hasn't actually gotten underneath just yet.
This is happening right now. So forget about the weekend. It's already Labor Day around here. You can still get 30% off. If you haven't done so, go right now, do that. Trader TV 30 gets you 30% off and will get you 30% off until the end of Labor Day. So shout out to Trade Ideas.
That is Brendan's best work ever. Like hands down. I know y'all believe. This is happening right now.
Yeah, we were just laughing at the transition there. It was just like dead silence, and then all of a sudden, boom.
It just grabs your attention. Yeah. That's how we roll, man.
Right now.
Lizard Brendan, euthanasia saying, AI Brendo. That's the real Brendo. And he doesn't mess around. He's got the professional read going on. Sometimes I wish I was a little bit more professional on camera, but then who would you guys make fun of for the horrible puns? Think about that for a quick second. Only I can, because I give the horrible puns every single day, although I have none for today. This market is looking weak. NVIDIA, can't you just go up so that I can get a short again in NVIDIA? I'm on the bid of Amazon. It doesn't want to come close enough to 137 to give a fill. I can cancel this. I don't need to have an order out there. $5 away on NVIDIA. I want to short the next available pop on NVIDIA. It's been all red since VWAP, and it hasn't given you any entry just yet. Nimit, I don't know what the pun of the day is going to be. I'll think of something, that's for sure. This is only trend down in the market. Oh, there is that. We are watching that small cap. There's a couple of small cap names out there that I think are worth watching. But we'll get to those as they start to break out. Of course, it was the halt on UPTD. You know what? Let me just get to that one. Let me get that one out of the way, because I do think there might be something on this, because it's halted down multiple times and then managed to regain VWAP, get up to that 28 level. So it just halted down. It's trying to support the 20 level again. This was a lunch money trade. It bounced off 20. Should have taken that instead of a firm. Would have been even better. But yeah, so it gave you that 20 to 28, which is nonsense. If it can manage to hold another halt down, not break 20 even, get back above VWAP, any consolidation long looks pretty decent there, or just a flat breakout at 28 at that point. Because that's very bullish. For it to halt multiple times, hold that support level at 20, if it takes out the top going into the long weekend, you got to figure some shorts are freaking out at that point, because it's looked really good for them off that 28 level. And there's going to be some stops above 28 on UPTD, so it's worth keeping eyes on that one. You can never, look, if you're long this and you haven't taken any profit yet, I don't know what you're doing. It's a former SPAC. It was $7 before. It broke out from 10. You're still getting above $20 here. I just think there might be a trade breaking out that I can get in and out of pretty quickly. Because if it takes out this level again, I almost feel like it's getting to the high. And if it gets to the high, that's already 10% after a 28 break. So UPTD 100% on the radar at this particular point.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get short this this Google here. A little bit of a chase, kind of came in hot into the 135, but yeah, it doesn't really look like it wants to break down right away. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I'll just sit here on that 135 for a few more seconds just to see. It is kind of timing out for me. So you know what? Yeah, I do not like those prints right there. Let me just get out of that one real quick. Okay, thank you. And yeah, look at that. It pops up and bids right back down to where I kind of was looking for. You know what? That's fine. Next trade. 135. Expected to be a little choppy, and it held there for a little longer than I'd liked it to. But yeah, it kind of continuing back down to the downside. I also have that 450 on SPY on watch. So yeah, we know that 450 was kind of a key in the morning. I fought against this 451, came back in, and then yeah, that 450.50 was a little bit of my out. Crossed a little bit, got out in the 40s. Not the best out, but yeah, we come back into that 450 and reclaim all the way back into that 450.80s, and now we're back into that 450. So let's see what we can do with this 450 on the SPYs as some of these names come in to test their low of day. I know Google's low of day here is 134.80s, and we're just chilling here in the 90s right now underneath that 135 kind of key area. We made higher lows, but I was talking to Neil about this. Google has done this a few times this week where, sure, you have that initial move, but for an extended period of time during the day, it just kind of has this range that has this price compression at the same time, right? So I realized that earlier today, and I was like, okay, well, maybe we're doing more of the same where you have this like a big move and then you bounce. You can't really get to even 50% retracement, but then you have that selling pressure coming back in with that price starting to compress. So we took some longs, we took some shorts, and then I was like, well, it looks like we're a little downtrending overall here, so took some shorts again. Didn't have the best entry up here at 135.50s where we had some trouble before as well. Didn't really add on more to that, so that can definitely be improved there. Reasons to add kind of show up here on the I guess the right side of the move here, right side of the V, off of this top right there. And yeah, I need to get better at kind of getting a lot more aggressive on this side of the move when it does come in. But you know what? We cover into previous supports, some previous areas, and that 135, let's see if we can convincingly get below that as well. We know that Apple retraced a lot of its move on the day as well on this drop here that we're having in the past, I guess, 30 minutes now, 30 minutes and 5. So yeah, the past 315s are pretty much red wiping the whole day's worth of range back down to the lows, 188.30s. I know Neil is in or was in Amazon. But
no, actually, I haven't made a trade in Amazon yet.
Okay,
I'm on the bid.
We can see how look how cleanly we were talking about this earlier. 137, Neil pointed out, and I was like, yeah, I recognize that price literally from yesterday and from a few weeks back. Look how key this price might potentially be, where you have the strong move, you have a strong sell-off, and you hold that right in the 90s, bid back up. And today you come in with some strong selling, and look at where it stops. Right, it stops like it got hit by like a wall. Right, there's a wall at 137 pretty much. You have a bit of failure to follow through, and now we're holding above that, all above this longer term range. Neil, take a look at that. That hourly trend, we are holding and consolidating up above that. So you know what? In the coming week, next week, maybe I'll be looking for a long, kind of interacting with some of these lows to look for a push back above. Or if we finally get back below and break this trend, yeah, maybe we are in for some shorts back down to 135s, 133s in the coming week. But right now, this consolidation, this bit of diddle, I don't know what we're doing here as the NQ kind of just teeters in and around that 15.5 135 all day. Look at that 450 bounce right there. 135 also bouncing.
Yeah, what's frustrating on Amazon is you can't, like now it's not giving you 137 even. Like I was sitting there, I'm sitting there underneath 137.10 and it was stopping out at like 17, 16. So you won't even get that. You're not even getting that long off the support anymore. I am back into Affirm, but again, you know, if I had this dip buy in Affirm the first time where it broke out, showed the consolidation off the original morning, you know, resistance price 2160. So I had that long, trailed it out. I'm back into it. I'll give it like, it's about 5 or 6 cents worth of risk to the local bottom. So I like the R&R there. Their vegan trader, you're right. There was another, I knew there was something else I wanted to get to because there was that penny stock, that AXLA, which is starting to pick up again. Now, obviously, you guys watched midday. I thought we had a great midday show today. Yeah. To be honest with you guys, Adam did a great job there at the end. We packed a lot of punch in the final 30 minutes. Then Yanni crushed it on this AXLA. Like I was like, why the heck wasn't I looking at AXLA a little bit deeper? We talked about this one on Lunch Money for a potential break. I'm like, yeah, I could get to 50 if it breaks 40. Well, it gave you the consolidation. You had the 41 long, it got to 48. That's pretty darn close. It's back above VWAP right now, so it's picking up. The volume's only okay, but look where it just held. That dip off that 40, that breakout that got you to 48 cents, that dipped into 35, it held 35. Puts in a higher low from here. I'd love to see a VWAP bounce play with a 35 stop and then just see what can happen with it. Anytime you show me a day, you know, it's not a day 2 or 3 move, but you know, like it's like a post move after it's already gone. Like this went 10 cents to 50 cents already. And now it's pulling back, shows you the higher low. It's trying to make a secondary run here. I want to give that long a chance to get back into that range, like to that 50. To the 50, 55 area. Can it get all the way in there? Look for the long up until that point. It's showing some signs that it's got at least a little bit of gumption to do that. So AXLA is another one that's on the radar to be sure. Let's see what happens here. NVOS, Narud is asking, can we check out NVOS? Check out anything? Well, just about anything as long as it's moving. I like 160 million, not bad for a penny stock. Oh yeah, it's a day 2 play. That's actually really solid. 25 cents for a breakout. 25 cents is the actual pre-market high. That sets up pretty well. Overhead resistance though, from a couple of days ago. So it's a similar setup, but it's already done like the bounce play. Like if you look at what we're just talking about, you know, it did the bounce play. It's on the way back up. This is already double bottoming and trying to break back out. So yeah, it needs to break this range. I'm thinking I wouldn't really trade this unless it broke this top. I think that's like 26 and a quarter. It needs to get through that because you've already traded inside of this range. So I'm either fading off that high or taking a breakout at 26.5 cents. Like that to me, that's the next play because it's already given you the dip buy, all that other good stuff. Now it needs to get the heck out of this range and make another move. And the further I pull it back, the better that looks breaking out 26 cents, right? So we'll let that happen. I guess it's 4 cents to get there. That's some room. I guess maybe there's something in there. I don't know. Sign me up for a 26 break on NVOS. Like that looks much more interesting once it gets above that level.
So I was looking at, I couldn't really find too many things to play. I know we missed this 135. Like I got short and I was like, oh no, that buying pressure kind of brought it back in. 135, the probability of that 135 holding just went up. So I got out. Reason to cover, reason to get long, I guess. That 135 holds and gives you about 20 pennies to the upside there. Now, anyways, in my quest for looking for the next trade, I pulled up the volume gainers on the day. Now, this is something I missed today. I didn't even know these guys had Catalyst, Walgreens Boots Alliance Inc. here, down on the day about 3 points off of this news this morning that shares fall after CEO steps down, right? And then 23 adjusted EPS is seen as low, so not that great of a guidance as well. But yeah, Walgreens catching a bit of a sell, and yeah, that's interesting. But maybe we can catch a continuation move next week if the selling stays heavy on Walgreens. Something else I noted as well. We know that Intel was moving around nicely yesterday. Look at what it did today, Neil.
Super strong.
I know you have an interest in this stock for sure. Straight up. to the upside, holds that 35.50 consolidation-ish area from yesterday. Look at this morning drive and hold of a 36. We're just stair-stepping up now, maybe on that news from yesterday that the outlook for the next Q3 is going to be great.
Yeah, and look at the, if you think about where this is going on the daily chart, it's pretty much going to retest this 37 resistance, I guess, maybe next week. We'll see. I don't know if we get there today. The market doesn't feel like it's strong enough, but maybe it does. It's got 50 cents to go to, 30 cents to go till it gets to 37, and then this local high is 37.5. So I think it's got a chance. I just saw Bill ask about the ARM IPO, just like in general. Is there even a date on the ARM IPO yet? I don't know if there is one. I just, like if you look at what like SoftBank paid for ARM like 7 years ago, if it were to, I remember I was doing the math, it's like if you give them like 30 or 40% from what SoftBank paid 7 years ago, it still trades at a very expensive multiple. So I don't know how they're going to come out with a valuation for ARM that's going to make any sense and worthwhile, and then not be immediately overpriced. And then it's not really the AI play that everyone seems to think it is. At least that's what the experts say. So I'm going to trade it. Like, who cares? It's going to be a big ass IPO. We're going to trade it. But I'm a little bit skeptical that it's going to come out at a reasonable price to own the stock. But I still don't know what date that's going to be. I've been off all week. If it's sometime in September, someone's saying. I know it's coming up. I just don't recall seeing any kind of a firm date on that. So we'll definitely be trading it when it gets there. I'm just thinking it's going to come out overpriced. That's my 2 cents. I was just able to get the quick 10-cent scalp on the reload and affirm, ring the register, and it comes right back in. This feels like I need something short into 15.5 on the NASDAQ. And we're getting pretty darn close, and all roads lead me back to NVIDIA. So like, I was looking for something else. I looked at Microsoft. Amazon needs to be under that 37. NVIDIA here, 85. It's retesting this kind of lower, this support level, coming back in. So if it can curl here, this would be a nice little turn here to look for a short. So I like NVIDIA definitely at VWAP in 488. 485 is giving me some feels here to take that short. No breakdown on Rivian just yet. I still think it can follow as well. And then Tesla would be the other name. Not much of a bounce to short into on this one. Like, it's just hanging out off of these lows. So finding an entry here, because I like 241 for support on Tesla. Finding an entry short is not going to be the easiest one in. I feel like NVIDIA is at a level I can take the curl on. Tesla, a little bit more tricky. And still looking at some of those smaller names as well. Palantir moving up. I like Palantir. I did have that this morning for a short, but yeah, it's still too strong. Like, I had this under here, underneath 15 for the short, and then it just kept breaking out. It didn't like it above 15.10. It's got resistance at 15.20. I suppose you could trade the scalp range. I was looking for the big move on Palantir, and that was underneath 15. Let's get back into 14.5, like 14.60, that range for Palantir. But it's creeping up. I suppose you could scalp 15.20s, give 5 cents worth of risk, and play it to the 15 level. I just like NVIDIA a bit better.
I was looking at Microsoft here now that you kind of brought it up in your last statement here. But take a look at this. Over the past week, we've kind of, I think I pointed this out before as well, but take a look at what we do every time we come down here to that 327, right? Do you feel like, or do you think that the probability of Softy bouncing off of here right now into the end of the day? We know we are 10 minutes away from power hour. What's the likelihood of this bounce here, Neil? Like, we've had demand here every day of the week. Look at these wick bottoms that kind of come in, and even today we kind of wick bottom that so far, and we are holding above this level on Softy.
That's basically the Amazon level. I like the Amazon level better for a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not that different.
Yeah, that's a pretty clean hold. I'm seeing, like, yeah, hold. Every time we try to make a newer high, we kind of have this range here that we come back in and almost magnet into this 237 area. That it's giving great opportunities for the longs all week, right?
Why do I have a line?
And it looks like potentially, you have a line there as well.
Yeah, I do have a line at 320.
Okay.
So I always say, like,
Confluence.
but if you have like a support or resistance line that you like, I just leave that sucker up. And it's not that I trade Microsoft a lot, but look at how well, I wasn't even here this week, and look at how well that's actually held up there. I have it just above 327, but I probably was really sloppy when I drew the line, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's a good one. This is every bit as good a support level as that Amazon 137. Now, I looked there first, so I'll probably respect that one. I'm still on the bid. I still want that long in Amazon. If we can get it, great. I'll probably reload a firm here in the low 50s. Sorry, in the low 60s if I can grab some, because I did get some out. But this Amazon 137 looks every bit as good. I think I know why I like it more. It's because of the breakout yesterday. Like this is like Amazon broke out and then held this as a support level. So it's like an old level coming back in on strength. Whereas I think Microsoft, like it's just kind of like it's a scalp level. It's been rejecting going higher from here, and so it's coming into this, which almost makes the short better underneath. Like if this breaks down, that looks really good. But Amazon feels better as a long off those levels because of its strength yesterday. At least that's what I see there. That NVOS, I know it's making some moves there. Novus, it's really starting to go. If this gets to the top, I'm going to be ready to go long 26 on this. I'm going to give this a stock window because, like, the stronger this gets, when you zoom it out and look at the daily chart. Whoops, that's the wrong direction. When you zoom it out and look at the daily chart, this above that 26-cent level, like, it's really got some room to the upside. So I want to play this one if it makes that breakout for me. I like this NVOS, but it's not there yet. It's still got some room to go, but we've still got an hour to go. Plenty of time for this to make a move. As I said, I reloaded that Affirm. It's now the third time off that level. I'd like it to get back to 22. First things first, the market has to continue its bounce. Relative strength, relative weakness. So I like this. It's been trending up, making higher lows pretty much all day. So that's what I'll dip buy on. NVIDIA, we just grabbed the short here at 85 even. Give it about a $0.50. It's not a perfect level. I'm looking at this support to turn into resistance. So I'm going to give it the $0.50, and that's about it. Definitely a better trade where I've only been shorting it at 488. But if we never see that price again, only one way to play the trend is to play the next curl. That was this one right here on NVIDIA. So short that, long Affirm. Got my eyes on NVOS, but it's got to make a bigger move. Naresh saying Chewy's about to squeeze. Can't remember the last time we said that. I can't see a reason for it. If there's a catalyst I'm missing, you guys will let me know. But, okay, so it had a big down day yesterday. Obviously, I wasn't here, so I would have missed that, didn't know that. That's a good sign. Sometimes you can go squeeze after you make a bottom after a wipeout low. Wipeout low immediately recovered, held the close price. Well, then it's got to have a reason to break 25 and then get above 25. Not really seeing too much there. I don't know. It's got to break out that $25 level, right? Like it's not enough to report, hold the low. The next step is actually breaking back out. Like show me that there's buyers that want to get these shorts out of the position. I'm not seeing the why for that one just yet. Doesn't mean it can't. I'm just not really seeing the why on Chewy. Got to worry about that NVIDIA there. I still want this Amazon long. I'm not really sure I'm going to get it. That 137. And I don't want to step too far out in front of it. NVIDIA is looking like it's not really doing much of anything. Like Amazon is just creeping higher. If this market goes, I'm going to be kicking myself for not having a long in front of 137 because I think this could break out VWAP. You hold support this long. If the market actually sustains this bounce, this one should go. So I don't want to step too far out of bounds here, but I might take a little something and wet the beak in front of the quarters.
Yeah, I like that 137 recycle on Amazon here. I got a little bit short here again on Google. Again, trying to play with the trend, right? It's still kind of teetering here in the 20s. This is roughly the trend I'm seeing right now. The lower lows and the lower highs and the lower lows that we've made into this 135 is kind of compressing into it. So let's see how far we can kind of get. Again, we are teetering back into that 15.5, right? So let's see how far we can get into that 15.5, and if we can't get too far and we start to reject like we have been all morning, right off of that 15.5, I think I expect this move to kind of come back into that 135 and see how that goes there. Still looking for a next trade here. This SPY also making a lower high as of right now after this kind of consolidation, triple top, quadruple top, whatever you want to call it. This 450.80. There are sellers that kind of show up once, twice, 3 times, and even in the morning, so about 4 times off of this price here at that 450.80-ish area. I'm just looking to take the trend trade now. As I feel like I've learned too many times this week that counter trending, even though I keep repeating the trend is my friend, I find it difficult to kind of implement that right now. But you know what? We'll get there. We'll get there. There's no doubt about it.
And there's 2 kinds of trend, right? Like there's the market trend, which you generally don't want to fight. But then understand, like, is the stock you're trading following the market? Does it have its own trend? So I think it's someone just asked in the chat, why not short AMD here? I'm like, well, I don't know, because NVIDIA is a weaker name. So it's down 1.7%. AMD is really strong. So I'd rather short the chip name that it's in a downtrend. Now, I could lose on this short on NVIDIA, but it's like the 4th time I've shorted it today, and the other 3 all worked. So I'd rather go ahead and do that. And then like Affirm, which is a stock that you guys know I usually really like to short, it's just strong today, right? So we go to the long off essentially one level, previous high, previous support level, buy the dip again for the 2nd time since we came in the afternoon. Now that I'm yapping about it, it's like it won't even give me the fill. I'm gonna get on 82s, take the win right there, power it up. It's a relatively strong name, go into the long and it works out. Now, the other side of that, there's NVIDIA. It's not the level that I had before, but if I'm going to take a shot shorting curls here, I'm going to short and give it to the local high. Sometimes that's going to mean having a 50-cent stock on a stock where you're usually taking $2, $3 a lot of times, but that's fine by me. Like, this wasn't the level, this wasn't 488, but if it curls from here, it had $2.50 to the local bottom. That's a plenty worthy range to risk 50 cents in my opinion. And I'd rather still trying to be short this, which is beneath VWAP, than trying to pick a high on AMD. Like where? Like maybe 110 even. If you got the 110 even play, great. But I just don't want to be short this name. I feel like it's going to make a lot more sense to go back to NVIDIA and look for that one, and look for that other one to be somewhere else. So I like this Affirm long. I'm going to get one more out in front of 22. Because I love it, but 22 has already been rejected once. It's an even dollar level. I do like this long. The breakout at 22 even, I would definitely take that if it happens before 3:30, but we are running out of time for it to break that high, Brendo.
Walgreens, guys, WB, I just saw popping up on some volume here, still 6.5%, trying to roll over once again. This happened this morning. CEO stepped down unexpectedly, and also they said that their full year 23 EPS will come in at the low end of the range. So Walgreens Boots Alliance getting crushed here today.
Yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out because I actually missed that story.
Yeah, same.
Big time.
I think that was probably a decent trade there. CEO step down plus negative guidance, and it sells off all day and you have market tailwind to kind of push that move. And look at the clean fade on WBA, right? So yeah, I was just looking at the top volume leaders of the day, and it was kind of the last one on the list there. But yeah, you know what? We can take a little bit more of a closer look.
I want you to look at something else though for a second, because Curtis just asked me to look at Dollar General.
Okay.
So
yeah.
This is
totally
Curtis. This isn't to defer or anything. However, it was Obi that was pointing out Dollar General and its move yesterday to me because I wasn't here and I didn't even look at the chart. So I mean, I'm pretty sure Obi is going to be able to do a good job talking about the levels here better than I would because I haven't really looked at DG.
Sure. Yeah. So 128 yesterday low. We talked about how that stepped up. It was on SSR being down a lot more than 10% off of the previous close, and bad earnings. Pretty down on almost 14% surprise on their earnings report, right? And then revenue as well, much below expected. So on that, you kind of catch a bid, you hold 30, and then you hold 31 as well, pretty cleanly here. No, you hold the 130 pretty cleanly, and then you bounce back up. But coming in today, this is the first time I'm taking a look at it. I was looking for a continuation, and you can see I had my alert up here, 139, right? Just to see yesterday's high, if we can kind of continue and hold above the closing price and kind of get back above into some of this air to test potentially 145 and into the 140s, right? So that's what I was looking for there. But look at what happened. We kind of faded that. You can't even get past some of these pre-market highs. That strong selling coming in, and then look at where we kind of base off. That same 128 from yesterday, that earnings reaction low or consolidation low, if you want to call it, and then yesterday's pre-market low roughly before we open up as well, kind of basing there. So kind of showing that there is a little bit of demand in that 128 area that we're hovering above. Dollar General definitely going to be interesting in the coming days.
There he is, Obi-Wan Kenobi. We don't have an Obi-Wan Kenobi graphic yet, do we?
Not yet.
Oh, we're getting one?
Not
Okay,
yet.
okay.
Do I get a say in which ones I kind of want or get?
Well, hello there.
No.
Can you do like a hello there?
Hello there.
Yeah, there you go. That's a famous line.
These are not the tickers you were looking for.
That's the one.
These are not the tickers you were looking for.
I like
Talk about stock selection. I got to do that to myself. I'm like, oh yeah, I have like this long list in the morning. No, buddy. These are not the tickers you were looking for. Low probability.
Everyone knows I'm a Star Wars fan, so I am 100 million% for all of it, and I hope we keep them coming. Fabian's obviously hard at work there.
Yeah, shout out to Fabian
Mark
and Ramin.
Anyways, you guys heard probably drilling in the midday show. Mark
Yeah.
hasn't sat down. I think since that point, I was joking around. We need to get a picture of Mark actually relaxing one day, just to prove that we're not overworking the dude, because he's always up around doing something. It's absolutely insane. Can I sell AMD pieces? I mean, AMD, it's been a beast today. I said over 108. Once it got above that price, I went looking for the long and didn't stick with it. The trend is your friend. It's trying to roll over. I can see the argument for once it got underneath this 190, 109.40, maybe that break got failed, and if it rejects here, then that same what was support on the way up is turning into resistance on the way down. I can see that. That's risking 10 cents from here, I suppose. That's a ridiculously tight stop. Maybe you push it to 109.50 and you risk 15 cents, but that's about it. I'm just more interested in, if we're at 15.5 now, I'm more interested in looking at NVIDIA, right? I don't have to rush back into this. I can allow it to get into VWAP. The market is at what I think can be a resistance level. I've got a long that I think can push high of the day and affirm, and that's working to the upside. So 15.5, again, we're pushing into this range. If we just continue to make lower highs into the same bottom on the NASDAQ, then we can curl here. And if we curl, I like NVIDIA. If that gets to VWAP, that's the one I like for the short. Raul mentioning Dell, what a beast. I mean, Dell was the biggest miss this morning. And it's not particularly close. I think everybody that writes off, anytime you're a trader and something is breaking out to monster highs, and you can pull this Dell chart back as long as you want. 62 is a huge breakout. If you go back on the daily, it's just a monster level that got taken out. And when that happens, you want to be involved in trades that are off at new levels. This is what Dell looks like above 62 on a daily chart. Okay, we're not going to adjust for a split, but at the end of the day, this is one that we should have been involved in. It was an early break. It never gave you a shot at that 62, but it was just all green shoots. It was one pullback into VWAP, and now it's just grinding slowly higher. I don't see much of a trade except for the fact that it might be a short at 70 if we get back up there again. It's already double topped 70 and shown no signs of doing anything crazy or parabolic all afternoon. So I feel like 70 is like a scalp short into the local high, which is 70.28. Outside of that, next time, just be willing to join the trend and take advantage of something like that. An earnings play breaking into wide open territory is what traders are looking for. I don't care what you like trading. I care about what makes money. And today, Lulu was a good one. Dell was actually better. And they were both earnings plays of stocks that you don't normally trade. And if you decide to sit them out, fair enough. Trade your own style. To me, when I like to capture these, I was in a good one. I was in the wrong one. Dell was better than Lululemon, 100%. Intel's super strong here, David. At 37 is a big resistance level, but it's not doing anything. If it breaks out the top, and if we get through 15.5, I think Intel should be a stock that you're long. Just like AMD, I tried two shorts, both with tight stops, and I have not been back to it since. This has got to be, to me, a break on the long, getting to 37.5, where resistance is on the daily, makes some sense. But it's got to take out this top. Just consolidating here, trying to take out this high.
Yeah, I think we have the potential to get there, right? We were talking about how NVIDIA and AMD are kind of already made a big kind of move, but Intel is almost the underdog, and I'm sure that Neil can talk more about this because I don't know too much about their fundamentals, but yeah, no, definitely on the chart, Intel is a little bit more muted, has a lot of catching up to do, and that could mean that it is quite undervalued, and I think I believe that as well, right? They have the infrastructure to work on some of the chips that are hot right now. They have the technology as well. They haven't really, I guess, pursued it. When we saw that AMD was picked up by Microsoft to help work on AI chips for them. So I'm just waiting for that Intel news, you know. But here's I got in a little bit more short there on the Googles. Trend is my friend. Trend is my friend. Still kind of teetering in and around our entries here. But yeah, if the market kind of decides that we want to reject off this 15.5, like I said, I want to see that rejection off the 15.5 and that first 15-minute candle to kind of hop up and test that 15.5 has gone red for now. I just need to see that kind of carry over here onto the Google trend that's been happening to the downside as well, back into that 135. Just a cheeky little short underneath some of these levels. We know we're making lower highs on the day and lower lows as well, even though the overall is kind of in a range here. But yeah, we've been downtrending since about midday, 12:30-ish. We made these lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Can't really seem to get back up to any of these previous levels. Google on the day looking a little heavy as well. Strong selling in the morning. Maybe we're going to get some continuation into the close. Or if this range breaks and all these shorts kind of are underwater, yeah, we could see a pop as well, and I'm more than willing to get long if that action kind of happens. But you know what? I like what I'm seeing on the SPY. I like what I'm seeing on the ES and the NQ. We're still holding well within kind of some of these ranges, so if we're just going to do more traveling of within the range, then I think we're poised well for this short here back into that 135 area on the Googles. I'm also watching NVIDIA as well. We talked about that 485 kind of being level of interest, that 484-ish area, and we're still holding well above that kind of still. But the thing is, since that 1230 is similar picture here, kind of a downtrend into that 485 as well. So you know what? It's all up in the air. Probabilities are not as high as most days, right? Again, I'm going to repeat this again. Last day of the week before Labor Day long weekend. Maybe some selling into the close, maybe some pops. What are some names that were moving around
Rivian.
This week? Oh, Rivian. What's happening with Rivian?
No, only because I just got into it. So I was like, you know, when someone asks a question and you don't give them a chance to finish the question, I'm just gonna pretend I know the answer. Yeah, that was just me trying to act like a Rivian fruit. But I have no idea if it was moving on much this week.
We were talking about like the end of week squeezes, especially into the long weekend. That's where I was
VinFast?
getting at. Yeah, let's take a look at VinFast, right?
And just before this even happens, I did short the breakdown in Rivian, and I'm not remotely endorsing a long in VinFast. I'm just simply saying VinFast has been getting its butt kicked, and profit taking in this particular case would be shorts covering, right? Because it's been tanking all week. So you have the chart up there.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying go long VinFast. I'm usually never saying.
See, here's the thing. I was looking for that overall backside, and I guess it came in over these past few days. We were talking about it last week, how crazy of a pop it had. You know what? Shorts definitely got burnt on the front side, trying to get short on the front side. But take a look at when we break back below this key level that we formed here at that 42, right? 42, 45-ish, like wick pops into 45 area, 44s. But I found the level to be right there at that 42 there. And look, it's confirmed by both acting as resistance and support with that volume, right? So this level is confirmed with volume and price action from both sides acting as resistance and as support. Look at that 42 support. Look at what happens when we finally distinctly crack that 42 support, right? We fail and bleed to the downside. Right? So that's the look on VinFast. Maybe we'll get that residual squeeze that I'm looking for. You know, maybe shorts are winning on this thing, man. 75s, 93s. We had Buddy in the chat. I don't know who it was, but he said 92 short he had. He had 92 short, so Buddy clipped that 92 short right at the highs, and if you're still holding, good on you, mate. We're going to be looking for those covers coming into the end of the week here.
That is, I mean, you got 92 short. That's literally a flawless entry there. I was joking around saying like 100 was the price at which I would have definitely paid for shorts and shorted that, but VinFast, I'd only go to the downside. You guys, there's going to be some fun stuff coming up on TikTok that I know because I'm actually hearing it getting filmed. And I'm already, anyways, I'm 4 for 4 on these when they're done shooting them because you guys are going to have some fun with some content. I think it's coming out this weekend. Rivian just grabbed in the short, but I am going to get some out here in the 23 teens. So I have my first bid out there just to grab some out in the teens. We are still testing a little bit higher on the NASDAQ, so we are trend up, but that broke trend to the downside that got me into the short. A firm is pulling back. I probably go to this well again. I mean, if we break out, we get to the 22 high, I probably take out the trade in front of 22, look for a long breaking the high of the day. But if we do dip, I am going to reload that price at least one more time. It just makes sense to me. It's definitely got some relative strength in there. I'll be mad at NVIDIA because, you know, I thought we were being patient, waiting for it to get a little tighter into VWAP, and it just didn't quite get there. So I will end up missing out on this short in NVIDIA. I still only want to be short that name. We are arrows to the downside, but went back to the well for one of the first names. Like when Tesla was weak, I said I think this name will catch up. I said it before, and I shorted the exact same price and took it out in the teens last time, and then tried to reshort on the way back up. But I think Rivian, if the market wants to head to the downside, we can get to that 23 even this time. Little bit weaker as we go into power hour. Let's see if this one can head down, but I do not want to look a gift horse in the mouth. Definitely taking some profit on the way to the downside here. Tesla, the leader of the pack, couldn't get to this 45, just kind of turn around here at 244. That's looking like a decent level to short off of. So it's a nice little curl. If it does any kind of press back up, if we're failing 15.5, Tesla 244 suddenly makes a little bit of sense. ADTX. Here we go. It's a line Randy used to say all the time. He's like, here we go. It's halted to the upside.
Oh, yep.
I'm telling you these things. Sometimes you just wait for it to consolidate. Look at it bounce off VWAP. That's a bit big of a range to be long in terms of stopping out here because you have to have a 38.5, maybe even a 39 in there, and then you're giving it to 35. That's a lot of risk. You know, that's $4 worth of risk plus slippage on that. So it's about 10%. That's not the end of the world. Like if you think of it in percentage terms, not bad. 10% risk on something like this when it has a chance. Like you're going 50% up to get to the high of the day, or at least close enough to it. So that's not that bad risk to reward. But for a lot of people, risking $4 to $5 notionally is not an easy day trade to make. Whereas the cheaper names, maybe you're risking less, but that's a good setup. I see a tap of 44.40, so it's indicating an open higher of only $1. So that's not that big of a move, but certainly a decent move up there for ADTX. We'll keep our eyes on that in case it breaks out that high. Amazon, what do we got going on here? Yeah, that one. Amazon is 50-cent range. That's it. So I think the way to play this, if you don't like the short, you got to load up at 137 to take the 50 cents. Because as the market has climbed up, this is still only 50 cents up. That's a bit bizarre to me that you're not getting a little more strength in that. Apple is definitely getting interesting here. Apple creeping back above VWAP. If that gets above VWAP, we're above 15.5 now in the futures. This can hold above here. I think we have a definite chance to run. Dell is nuts. Do you think shorts is the way to go, Bigfoot? No, the only place I would short is the high of the day. That's it. Like, it's not moving enough. I'm just not really seeing any other trade that if it got to the high of the day, risking 10, 20 cents up there above 70 to the top gives you an R&R. And then if people start taking profit, I at least have something that makes sense. So unfortunately, I'm not really seeing a heck of a lot of a trade there in Dell. And maybe patience in NVIDIA is going to play out because we're now retesting 15.5. I'm waiting for VWAP. I wanted to get in here to short. It's got to at least get to 487. Otherwise, I'm not putting the position on. And that's pretty much it. We'll see what happens. I think the market has a decent chance to break out from here. I know I like a firm. I know we like AMD. AMD's kind of floating in the middle of nowhere. AMD probably needs to break 109.40. This is a name I didn't want to be short. Intel gives you an opportunity as well, but again, it won't break the highs either. So need something to set up here. This needs to take out that high. If it can't do it, even Intel looks like a retracement candidate here. If it gets back underneath 36.50, the more I look at this. If you can't break the high and we don't hold 15.5, I mean, this getting back to VWAP's not that bad of a trade. So I don't know what you're looking at here because, like right now, it is so easy. You're going into a long weekend. I can't say this enough. You're going into a long weekend, and we're chopping around this range. Choppity chop chop. So that's why you've seen me do two things. Wait for a firm to break down. Wait for Rivian to break down and get into that short, and then play one long off firm over and over again, and then look to short the pops in NVIDIA. Because over trading here is going to cause a bit of a mess. If you have a good short that you like, you're at a resistance point in the futures, it's not a bad place to put it on if it's at the level you like, or if you're just trading the futures, I suppose. But over trading, rushing into something right here that isn't setting up, it's just going to cause a bunch of mess. Like if you just say, okay, we're going to pull back in Intel, well, you can sit in the short here at the bottom end of the range. That's not very good as an entry, because if you just do nothing, then it just floats against you 10, 15 cents. If it breaks down and starts giving up support, that's a different story. It's got to break out that support level. That's what I'm looking for here. HPE is pumping. They reported.
HPE, is that Hewitt Packard?
They reported this week, right? Yeah, they reported. I mean, this is in front of Dell. I know that, well, okay, well, it makes sense. They had a good report themselves, and then Dell obviously doing Dell things today. Ooh, the daily, if this can get 20 cents higher than you're breaking out on the daily chart. It's floating up. Again, this is a difficult place to be long. If it breaks out 18, breaks at 18.20 on the daily, that's a pretty exciting level, to be sure. Money, which app are we using? I don't know if you're asking in general to people in the chat, but we trade on a prop floor, and we trade, like Day Trade the World has a proprietary platform that gets traded. It's called P-Pro 8. So every Day Trade the World office, every trader trades the exact same platform, and it is proprietary to Day Trade the World. Day Trade the World has offices, I mean, in like almost every single country in the world, like there's hundreds of offices in, at least 50, 60 countries. Unfortunately, just not the U.S. And we say this every single time, but unfortunately not the U.S. But if you are asking in general, the chat's usually a good resource in terms of seeing what people use. I know we have retail traders in here. We have people that are trading sometimes once every few weeks. We have traders that trade multiple times a day, and everything in between. It's a pretty great community, so you get a good idea of what people are interested or what are using in terms of platforms. I've only really traded on Day Trade the World as a day trader, so I've been only a prop floor guy here. And being a prop floor trader and day trading, we do have to be out of positions at the end of the day. So every single thing that we're talking about and entering into trades, we are done at 4 o'clock. Right? Like we get out of those positions. We don't carry anything overnight. We're not trading options. We're not trading any nonsense like CFDs. We're just trading the actual equity here. And you chuckle, but it's true. Like, I'm not going to make a rant about CFDs. You know what? Because I can, but I'm not going to. I'll leave that one alone. Like there's a place.
I mean, I'd love to hear it.
No, there's a place for CFDs. There's no
Okay.
question about that.
Right.
Just understand that when you trade a CFD, you are not trading against actual other market participants, right?
Okay.
Like you're trading a synthetic instrument, and the other side of that trade is often the broker that you're trading with.
Okay.
So I mean, think about that for a second.
So it's almost skewed, is what you're saying. Skewed against you, or like?
I'm fairly certain CFDs aren't legal in a lot of markets.
Yeah.
You guys tell me. I don't think they're in the U.S. I'm pretty sure they're not. You can trade in Europe. I know in Israel you can as well. There's lots of places that they're legal, and there's nothing fundamentally wrong about them, right? Because you'll see them oftentimes, and I've seen platforms where the executions are great. You won't find any difference trading in some CFD environments and trading in the live markets. It'll be like 1 cent spreads and all that other good stuff, but that's not always the case. And understand that's not always the case because you're not actually trading in the real market, right? When you send an order to I'm looking at HPE, it's on the New York Stock Exchange. If I'm sending an order to HPE, and why is this still on Intel, I have no idea, so I'll just flip it here. If I send an order to buy at $17.95, I am going to remove liquidity from one of these actual people sending their orders to the live market in the NYSE floor. Now, if I'm trading through whomever with the CFD, I might get $17.95 when I buy, but I will not be trading against an actual market participant sitting in one of the NYSE order books. That's just not how it works. So sometimes you incur extra slippage when that's the case. That's especially true if the stock isn't incredibly liquid, and it can be a little bit dangerous. Again, it doesn't really matter. I said I wasn't going to rant, and now I just have. So Congratulations.
And I said I wanted to hear a little bit of it.
Yeah, but it's
so,
really
I mean,
easy to get me talking about stuff like this.
'Cause I don't know too much about CFDs. That's the thing. Like I'd like to learn more, but yeah, apparently they're not. They might not even be worth learning too much about, I guess.
You know what? I don't want to. You want to paint everything with the same brush because that's really not fair.
Okay.
It's just understand that you are not actually trading on the actual market, and understand who it is that you're executing against. Like the other side of liquidity is going to be is essentially just the broker that you're trading with, right? Okay. So what's their incentive in that particular case? It's great, and there's some honest ones out there to be sure, but. Let's get back to trading here because Div, AMD is still upward trending. The Rivian short's starting to come back for me. Yep. AMD's not even breaking range. I keep thinking it needs to break 1094. We're not doing it. That just leads me to the short that I like. Can I get more of it? There was just a wick here in Rivian. I can probably look to short this again in front of VWAP. So I'll just go back to the well on something I know I like, short underneath VWAP and Rivian and try and capture the same 15-cent starter that we had before. NVEOS is driving you nuts, Narud. I can see why something like this would be frustrating, but that's why I'm like sit it out till it breaks out. Because what you want for stock movement is for something big to be happening, and something big happens if this takes out 26. That's why I keep coming back to that. As a matter of fact, let me just write this on my iPad so that, because if this breaks 26 on Tuesday and I don't have it, then you guys can at least say, well, Neil wrote it down, and he was supposed to pay attention to that level, and he didn't do it, and you can slap me in the face. But if I don't write it down, then sometimes you end up fooling yourself. And it keeps on, like, why is Apple, I have an iPad here, and every time I type NVOS, it's auto-correcting it to MVIS. Why? NVOS, autocorrect to MVIS. Explain that to me.
MVIS is... was it Microvision or something?
No, I know MVIS is a symbol.
Yeah.
But why is Apple autocorrecting that? How the hell do they know MVIS is a symbol? I'm not saying it doesn't make sense from a trading standpoint.
Have you typed MVIS frequently on your iPad?
Hell
Maybe
no.
it's like
I haven't looked at that stock in like a year for sure.
Okay.
But like it just keeps on doing it, and then
maybe Apple's trying to tell you something, Neil.
What, to buy MVIS stock?
I don't know. Buy or short. I wouldn't take financial advice from an iPad, but it's definitely pointing it out for you. You know.
Punch long MVIS. MVIS might be the most disgusting chart I've looked at today on the daily. That's the irony of this entire thing.
Wow, that looks beautiful.
That is horrible.
What a pump and dump.
That is, oh my goodness, I hope nobody owns this stock.
Oh boy.
Or this is the bottom.
That chart looks beautiful, Neil.
What do we think?
I think so. That's like price action compressed into such a short time frame, right?
I can't
the rise and fall of a stock.
Maybe it is telling me to short that stock. I don't know. It definitely could be true. I'm getting a little bit frustrated with the futures not moving right now. Saved by Grace is bag holding MBIS. Maybe it is a bottom. I have no idea. Again, I don't think I've looked at that stock in a very long time. A little frustration with the firm. It can't get to the high. It can't give me a reload. It's just dancing in the middle. It's in the money, but I'm not seeing a new trade here. I want to see a new trade somewhere. Tesla's not at 240, is it? No. Oh, exploring show in the chat, you got me. Because if you type Tesla 240, you probably meant you think Tesla's going to 240. But to me, I'm just like, oh my God, it's at 240 and I missed the chance to short 241. Anyways, doesn't matter. It's nowhere near that price. It's still in a tight range itself. You want to be patient waiting for something to happen here, guys. And I'm not really seeing anything, except for a couple of those small caps that are going. Right? Like if you can find one of those and you get an entry, fair enough. But everything else is in a very tight range as the futures are figuring out 15.5 here. So you guys let me know what you guys want to talk about. MVIS Christmas tree pump and dump pattern. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Like, is that
Christmas tree pattern? I don't know.
I've heard
people come up with whatever names for all different sorts of price action, right?
But I've heard this one specifically, and I don't get it because I've never seen a Christmas tree that's all green on one side and all red on the other, which is that's what the pattern is. Does anybody actually decorate a Christmas tree so that one side is one color and the other side is the other? I've never seen it before.
It's like a bipolar Christmas tree pattern.
Yeah, I don't know what you call that.
I just call it a pump and dump.
Yeah,
it's a
pump and dump.
classic. Look at that
Classic
expanding
pump.
volume, that full-on exhaustion, pure, clean backside that's like, it's already defined all the levels for you, all the nice risk, and yeah, you can just write it down once that move is there. But,
Fabian just said it's like a, oh, this is, I'm using the wrong hand. It's like a hand with an index finger, so it's like that. Or, yeah, Brendan, you said it right. I'm like, that's giving you a different finger, not the index finger, Fabian. Like, if somebody, like, you own the stock, like, I hope you own it at $2. But this is it. I bag hold, man, I bag held stocks. I'll be like, yeah, I made so much money on the way up. I can hold 10% and just lose because who cares? I did that with a firm. Didn't quite do that with SI, which was probably a good decision. But again, you should always have an out, even if it's a small amount that you got left. Like if you get a long of something like this, or maybe you're long when it's breaking 4, it doubled up, man. When it gets back underneath and breaks 350, like, yeah, have an out somewhere. Like that's generally speaking, if you don't have an out, we were talking about this earlier, right? If you don't have an out for something that is a trade, then you don't make the trade. Don't get in if you don't have an out. It's that simple. That probably works with a lot of things in life that I could ramble on about right now, but it's just really true in trading. And if you don't have one, what's going to happen is you're going to be caught holding a bag. Because you'll just say, well, it has to bounce from here. And the lower it gets, the more attractive the bounce looks at that particular point. So just don't do it. You don't want to be caught bag holding stock. Now we're above 15.5 and holding.
Yeah.
Are we finally going to show a level and break back out here?
Are we going to blast off? Yeah, this short not looking too hot right now, but we've just been consolidating right here. 35.50 is just underneath that level. On top of the 35, right? It's kind of been a level as well, but yeah, we pop up above that 15.5, and we are coming into this level here. So looking like we are doing a bit of a bounce here. SPY as well got above that 450.80. Pushing to the upside. Let's see how far we can get. We know some of these levels here, 451.20s and then 456.80s, 135.80s, 135.50s as well on the Googles. We know Microsoft's been a little heavy as well. We talked about that potential that 327 kind of being a potential bottom because it's been a bottom across the week here. Just to show you guys again, we are getting a bit of a curl off of that. Again, not too much time left until the bell. Got about 33 minutes until the bell here, and we have kind of started a bit of a turn there on Microsoft off of this key level. Maybe potentially we are going to be pushing that 15.5. Let's see what we do with this level here. I know the 15.5 has been interesting. We tried to get above it in the last 15 minutes. This 15-minute candle has about 2 minutes left to print, and we kind of popped up above that 15.5 level, and let's see how we close here. I'm looking for that 15.5 to stay struggling for now. I don't know. It's done that all day, and I think there's a good chance it'll do it into the close as well. But after this candle prints, we'll only have 2 more 15-minute candles left to print, so we could very well just get back into the range here. We know the closing imbalance yesterday was crazy on Apple, kind of wiping the whole day's range.
It was MSCI yesterday.
It was MSCI yesterday, and again, it's a week of MSCI. It's a week of large imbalances, but yeah, some of that showing itself on the large caps yesterday on Apple. That was pretty crazy.
And just to answer your question in the chat, Darwin, we got you. This is an after show today. You know we got you. The thing you guys can always understand about Trader TV Live, like one of us isn't here or a couple of us aren't here, the show's going to go on. That's just how we roll. Like the whole premise, U.S. markets are open. Obviously, we don't care about it. Okay, it's not that we don't care about other markets, but we're here trading the U.S. markets. If they're open, then we're here. And if we're here, that means you're getting the full gambit, right? We're going to do the full show for you. We're going to find a way every single day. And we got the after show today. So it's going to be a fun one. We'll do it. We got the recap. I definitely want to get a lot of questions from you guys. Ask me whatever the hell you want. I really don't care. We can talk about fantasy football if you want. It doesn't matter to me. We can definitely talk some stock. I do want to talk about something in particular, which I have to deal with this week. And it's something that happens from time to time. You come back from a vacation, or maybe you come back from being off a few days, like sick as I was, and you missed a few days in the market, and like, what is your preparation process? What do you do differently? Because I think you have to do some things differently in that particular case, because you know you're not necessarily as in tune with the market. But finally, the rock has come back to a firm. No, that's not true. Finally, a firm has gotten back to the high. So what did I say I was going to do? We said we go long off one price in a firm, scalp it to the high of the day. That's been done. So now 2202. If we break out from here, fair enough. I'm looking for this to now dip off the 22 level, give me the higher low to work off of, 21.75 to be that long, or just go for the breakout of the top here. It's been above 02, it's been above the evens with an 02 top. So it has to get through that, but I'm always taking profit at this time. 330 at a double top high, I'm taking my profit and looking for the next trade, and then trying to get quick in and out trades on this name. So we've got the winner there. I liked it because it was a clear trend to the upside that showed me a good support level we could take over and over again. And Rivian, as the market goes higher, this can't even bust VWAP. So I do like this short in front of VWAP. I haven't reloaded it just yet, but the market has been all green for the last hour. And this is what Rivian's been doing for that time, gently heading to the downside. Yeah, I think I'll stick with this one as long as it's underneath VWAP. Alex Davis, what makes a successful trader through your eyes? Risk management, risk management, risk management. You have to actually love what you're doing because the market is willing to beat you up day in and day out. So you have that game day mentality. It's kind of like being a mental athlete. So every single day you're playing the same game with the same rules, but it's going to be different. Like you can play basketball every single day. Every game's going to be different, but the rules never essentially change. That's what the market is for you. So you have to have a passion for it. You have to have discipline and risk management. It's just that simple. One of the things I talk about over and over again is know where you're wrong first. Because any trader that cannot admit when they're wrong or taken out is just you're not going to succeed. It does not work. You have to have an out, and you got to be willing for things to look like, let me show you, Intel was a bad one today. Like you got to be willing to have these outs because sometimes for every single time you see me make a top wick, sometimes I'm just taking tight stop losses. Come to my chart, I'm taking tight stop losses against the grain and limiting damage when I'm wrong. That's what it's all about. Intel's up 4%. I have 2 trades that were both short, and it's a small hit today because I was willing to take my out there. There we go. Again, I had outs every single time. They were tight stops, but that's fine. I'd rather have a tight stop, have it reversed, and I look like an idiot than just sit there averaging into this one into oblivion and eventually being right. It would have, yeah, if I just keep shorting into it, eventually I'm right, and it probably would have worked out here, probably. But that's not a good way to trade. That's not going to work out in the long run. It's just going to get you run over in the long run. I don't like getting run over. I'd rather take a small hit 3 or 4 times and then trying to work an area that I like or a key trade that I like, then sit there and be sweating it the entire way. I did just reload onto Rivian, and I am double checking. Firm did not break out that 22 top, by the way. But I'm reloading in front of VWAP. Even if the market's going to be strong, for some reason, this is not showing the strength that the rest of the market's doing. What else is happening? What's going on to Tesla here? Tesla is trying to bounce. This gets interesting if it gets above 245. Like this has a lot of room to VWAP for a VWAP retrace, but it still cannot break out from here. I said I would short at this level if it came back up there, and then I'm not doing it now for some reason. Interesting.
Take a look at.
I should be shorting this.
Have you seen what Amazon has done off that 137? That's pretty crazy there. Still going 138 incoming on Amazon here. My chart's a little wicky here with some of these wicks, so I got to get those out of the way. But take a look at that 138 from this morning. That 137 holds so cleanly, and then we break that consolidation back up to 138. Now, we were talking about this earlier. This 137 recycles and kind of shows itself at the same level as yesterday. And you were able to get that trade once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times. I don't know what, quatrice? I don't know.
Quatrice?
I don't know. Is that what it is? Huh? What's the 4th time and the 5th time? Quintuple. I have no idea what the proper terminology for that is.
The 4th and the 5th time.
The 4th and the 5th time. Yeah, I know. Because I said once, twice, thrice. I don't know what the 4th.
Is there a word for that?
Yeah, I think there is. I think it might be like quatrice or something like that. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. I'll get back to you guys.
Crypto Blogger says the 4th time is fried rice. Down with that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That'll work.
That could work, yeah.
But
that 137 coming in, that's definitely going to give me a level here. I don't know if you guys, well, obviously you guys didn't know.
I am confused, more.
That 137 definitely marked. I know Neil can see that. And Neil, I was making, this was already.
So why are we long?
This was already printed in the morning. Like, I wrote this down before the market opened. So Bit of that talk about following the plan, and as Neil sits here and talks about like adding into a trade until it kind of runs you over. That's kind of what Google did to me just now, as it broke that range, and with this market pushing back above that 15.5, yep, that break was distinct, and I did have to get out of that one.
But it broke your level. You got it.
Yeah, I mean, I might have waited. I might have waited too long. I waited like 20 pennies, a little too much, and that's a big range to kind of wait. So I think, yeah, definitely got to get better at that risk management.
Just quickly, the early look on the imbalances, it's only 200 million to sell.
Yeah,
so the market's kind of really not caring about that. That 137, like I know why I'm not long 137, because I was way too late to it. I didn't look at it until it had already bounced a few times. That's why I'm not in it, which sucks. But that's been a golden level. It doesn't have to give you much if it has support like that. Like if it's the thing about the support that's that good, if it's a 50-cent range and you just size up because it's giving you a tight stop and you try to play the 50-cent range. And you can. I'm not saying you can't average in. I don't want anyone to get the impression that you can never average into a trade. I don't know any trader that never at some point at least thinks about averaging in. It just has to be part of a bigger plan. Whereas like this is my out. Maybe I don't like the full entry point at a particular price. Ideally, sometimes you get it all in at one price, like here. Like I'll get it all in and give it to this level, and that's it. Like I'm all in underneath 30 with an out at 40. I'm not really thinking average in on that trade. I've kind of reloaded it already underneath VWAP, and I don't want to add to it at this particular point. And there's other times when I would. So the imbalances, Bigfoot, the imbalances is always a notional value. So 210 million notional to sell. Right, so that's when they take all the early look on the early orders that are going into the NYSE close, and they'll give you like a notional number. It's not an amount of shares; it's actual, like it's dollars. That's why 200 is kind of insignificant when it comes to the market. If it gets to the billion level, then it definitely matters a bit more. JK, is ADTX going to be an aftermarket runner? I usually feel if they're not going yet, and it's still trending up, then oftentimes you can see when there's a little bit, they can't halt in the aftermarket. There's less liquidity, so when it gets going, you can move a little bit more. Yeah, it's certainly setting up that it could be the case. There was this one, there was the other one that we're talking about, which is name I already forget. That fellow was UPDT or UDPT, I don't know what the heck it was. But if they don't go, sometimes you get that late day break, that 4 o'clock breakout, something that we can't really take advantage of. If it does make a move, we'll let you guys see it in the after show for sure. ADTX is starting to go right now. I wouldn't chase it. $2 spread. Oh, check that. $2 spread. Whoa. Actually, here's the deceiving thing about this. I just said $2 spread because when I looked at the actual prices, but look at the level one, man. If you want to get like a full 100 lot, it's actually showing almost sometimes a $3 spread. So if you look at the level one price, that's now $1.50. Now it tightens up a little bit. But what'll happen is you can see one for a board lot, but sometimes that's sub 100 lots. And you can tell by the level one price being 47.57. These are probably all sub 100. That's probably sub 100 lots in there. Now it's legit up here on the bid. Now it's really starting to go. This is going to break out. You can see that start to jump up. Wow. And it just went into like a press. I wanted to see where it was because what's the resistance level here? 51. Oh, don't chase a move like this, Neil. I can't chase it. Don't chase it. Don't chase it. Zion Lala, do you trade when you're sick from home or do you stay out? So we have to actually be on location to trade on the prop floor. Now, there is some remote trading at Day Trade the World. I don't have it set up in my house because I'm always here doing the show. Like, if I'm off sick, I don't want to trade anyways. Like, I might do something in my long-term account, like if I wanted to dip buy something or adjust an order, maybe I'll do that. But I don't actively trade, and I wouldn't want to when I'm not feeling under the weather. Like you're making real decisions for real money. I don't think doing it under the weather makes a heck of a lot of sense. No, it's just you're prone to make mistakes in that state. So I try not to trade if I'm not feeling too well. And if I was in there not 100%, I would probably just trade smaller size anyways. I was joking to our old floor manager. There was one point early in my career when I used to actually, before I had kids, so you'd go out to the bar after, Thursdays was a big popular day for the trading floor, and any day where it got out of hand and I felt even remotely hungover on Friday, like my incidence of shutdown was just ridiculously high. And I was a trader that would never get shut down. So it's like, yeah, well, what's the common denominator here? We stopped having grad parties on Thursdays because of this.
Oh, wow.
I'm literally not making this up to you guys. we stopped having grad parties for trainees on Thursday nights, despite the fact that it was a fun day at bars, because of what would happen to the floor on Fridays. That simple. And the second I was a risk manager and saw that crap, I'm like, we're not having parties on Thursdays because you guys suck on Friday. And so you just lose money for no reason. So we're gonna have parties on Friday, and if that means the bar is a little bit, you know, not as banging and it's not as cheap as a Thursday, then fine. Hangover trading is nonsensical. Yeah. It's stupid. You just lose money. Trading while sick is stupid. You lose money. Ponzi, no, I wish I had that reason for being out this week. I was legitimately sick, and it really, really sucked.
Yeah, we were
really
talking
sucked.
About like trading in a different mind state earlier today, right? I told you about like how some of my trading gets really erratic if I have too much coffee in the morning. So being aware of your mental legit. And then sleeping as well, that's lack legit. Of sleep. I've heard you talk about this as well, right? So being aware of your mental state and using that as a method to kind of manage your risk and manage your positioning when you are trading is huge. And if you track those things, and I've tracked those things to some extent.
Boom.
But yeah, I know Neil tracks his sleep as well, and I think we were talking about this. I think I was talking about this with Sean.
It's hard to see. I have a yellow recovery. That's very trust me. I was getting red. It was horrible when I was sick. But I have a yellow recovery taste. I'm feeling a lot better.
What does that mean?
No, essentially it's just the Whoop basically tracks your sleep patterns and then a bunch of like different metrics like your skin temperature, respiratory rate while you're sleeping, nice. HRV, heart rate variability. And it just comes up with a score based on the strain you had the day before, the quality of sleep you get, all of that, and puts it into a recovery score. Wow. It's really good for determining when you have not just mental, but also for physical, because it's mostly for athletes. Like I know if I'm having a bad recovery that I should not be training that day. So with a yellow recovery, like obviously that means I'm feeling better. I had a 1% recovery on my Whoop. Right? Like it showed me a recovery score of 1%. Anybody that had a Whoop, you have a concept of how bad that is.
That's only twice. You only recovered 1%?
Yeah, of with a scale of 1 to 100.
Right.
Twice I've seen that,
wow.
And both times was COVID. It's that simple, like twice. And it was like, yeah, I saw that. I'm like, I may not have tested. Like it was the morning that I got the 1%. I'm like, I am going to test positive. And I was like, and then it ended up happening. And I'm fine now. Resting heart rate, Ponzi. When I kick my coffee habit, I'm in the low 50s. When I drink coffee, which I do right now, I'm in the low 60s. 61, 62 is my resting heart rate. Again, I've multiple times the trader I've actually gotten off caffeine, and then I'm resting in the 50s. Caffeine affects me, so I have a generally higher heart rate. I was sitting at an average heart rate on Sunday when I was sick of 87, which is gross. I was at 112 in the first hour of sleeping on Sunday night. As I'm laying down in bed, I had a 112 heart rate. Like, trust me, it sucked, dude. I was terrible.
I mean, I'm glad you're feeling much better now and you're here with us.
It was, to have your heartbeat going like that when you're laying down in bed, it's actually freaky, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I mean, like that's like you're definitely a little bit tachycardic there on with that kind of heart rate, especially when you're lying down. Damn.
I was like, what the heck is wrong with me? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, a lot of, again, going back to the mental state, right? Being aware makes a huge difference. That's what I'm finding so far here. But yeah, I never really tracked those things at home. Only I started becoming more aware of those things after coming to the floor. And you know what? It's a great place to come to those realizations and like self realizations as well, actualizations of what are the different factors that can potentially affect your trading, right? Like we're running a business here, or trying to at least, right? And anything and everything that can kind of decrement your decision making, here's what I say. On the other side of the screen, this is some of the most competitive playgrounds in the world, right? You are facing some of the most competitive players in the world, especially on some of the, you see what some of these futures and some of these tickers do, right? So given that, knowing that, would you really want to show up on game day with an altered state of mind, right? Whether that's from coffee, whether that's from lack of sleep, whether that's from drinking, whether that's from getting into an argument with a friend or family, right? What type of mental state are you really in? And being aware of that and changing how you conduct business or tweaking how you conduct business on that day based off what your mental state is, right? So I think that's very important. I've come to learn that over my time here, and I think I'm very thankful for that because it definitely makes a difference long term.
I gotta hold on. You said something I gotta give a mic drop to. I hate the graphic, but I have to give a mic drop. When you just said if you have like a fight with a family member, I don't think most people don't realize this. Like the level of emotion that you, especially when someone you care about, right? Like you have that type of, it could be an argument with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it might be, husband, wife, something bad happens, your mental's not there. That is every bit as big as physically being under the weather. And sometimes it's actually worse. Because as a trader, if you're overly emotional like that, something like that can cause you to revenge trade and you don't even realize it's happening. So we've all been there, man. I think it's really, really cool. Sean Hazel, I got to be calm, no distraction when trading. I'm with you. There was a trader way back in the day. I'm not going to name any names. Some people might remember him. Like he had to sit in this very specific spot in our old office. We had windows all around, and he's like, the lighting had to be perfect for him. He said, I need to sit in this seat because I don't want too much light. And so this has just enough like shade, and I get natural light, but it's not too much. And then he's in the right headspace. I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's an open seat, and if you feel like you're more comfortable there, then hell yeah. Why would you ever say no to that? So I just like when people are self-aware like that. What else is going on here? It's not anybody you've seen. Like this, I'm talking about at an old location. Our old office, we haven't been there in like 10 years. I think we moved here. That's a good question. Like, when did we move to this location? It was probably 2015, so like 8 years ago, something along those lines. We've been here for like this location for a while, but the previous office that we used to sit at, this is a trader from back then, and a trader that was actually on my trading floor with Sean, like our trading floor together. And so this guy's around a long, long time ago, but he was very self-aware. Whether or not that helped him from trading, not going to say anything, but certainly he was somebody that definitely knew the environment they wanted to be in. We have 3 minutes to the imbalances. I'm still only in the one trade. I wish I could tell you that a firm had broken out that top. It did not. It stalled out at 22. I probably do not make another trade in a firm. I think I'm done with this one for the day. Thankfully, it was a good long, but again, there's just not that much going out there in terms of the market movement. We're still bouncing off 15.5, and with the imbalances coming in 3 minutes, I don't think forcing anything makes sense.
Yep.
I just saw a good question. How many years did Neil trade the penny stocks?
Ooh,
So I started trading in 2003. Okay, fine. I guess I'm dating myself when I say that. I started trading in 03, graduated early in 2004, and for the first year, I traded almost exclusively, when I was making money, almost exclusively penny stocks for the first year. And then in the next year, I moved from that to expanding into other things. And I still traded penny stocks then. For the first, I'd say 3 years, I traded penny stocks. But the first year, it's fair to say almost exclusively penny stocks. That's what was making me money. Right? So I didn't trade other things until they started making me money. Like all I cared about was making a bankroll. I was living at home, so I wasn't paying any damn bill. Well, okay, well, I was paying rent to my mom's, but I wasn't paying any real bills. I didn't have any responsibilities. And I was just building my bankroll, making money at what was making me money. I didn't give two craps about what people thought about it. It's like, this is what's working for me, so I'm just gonna keep doing it until I figure out other things that start making money for me. And then you can start expanding. So I'd say it was about a year exclusively, and at least for another few years I was trading after that. Then, like once 08 happened, like everybody became momentum traders. That's all you traded, because what the hell else would you do? So like by then you were only doing certain other things. But yeah, it was definitely, and I would say this to any trader too. Like when you start out, build a bankroll, man. Like your bankroll is your lifeline. Like it's everything. Jamlocity, what penny stock do you remember that you banked on? Internet Capital Group, ICGE. That was my ish. ICGE. I'm definitely dating myself. But we kicked the crap out of that bad boy. That was a great stock back in the day. It was one of those .com bubble burst stocks. It probably had a really great market cap back in the day, and then the .com bubble burst, and it was like a 30-cent stock, and we were just going ham on that one. And it was fantastic. But you got to build a bankroll, man. And however you do it in trading, just don't worry about that. You can always expand to different strategies later, but just start by making money, because your bankroll is your life as a trader. That's what gets you through the downturns. When things aren't going well, if you don't have a bankroll, you're just going to be chewing up a bunch of money there, guys. So, again, Imbalances in 30 seconds. I'm going to lock and load and have these ready for you live. I have a trail out. Well, I have a stop out at 2140-ish on Rivian. That's the only trade I'm in here. Let's see what's going on in about 30 seconds. We'll get these imbalances. And what do I mean by bankroll? Oh, I just mean you got to give yourself some leeway because you'll sustain losses. Like it was my income, right? So if I'm counting on trading for my income, I was saving as much as I could. So if I had a downturn, I could still eat. For lack of a better term. So that's what I mean by having a bankroll. It was literally, look, man, like it's imbalances there. I'll get to that. I'll finish the thought in a second. But BHC is a buy imbalance 1.7. Enbridge sell. We got Uber is a 1 point. Oh, no, sorry, never mind. There's 1 million to sell on Uber there. TLT is coming out as a sell as well. Kenvue is a sell. Not really seeing many big cap names here. Pfizer is kind of a small deal. Pinterest, 500,000 to sell. I'm not seeing any of the big cap tech. There we go. Google's a sell of 460,000. So really, your sell side here to the tune of 1.5 billion, according to Brendan. Amazon's a buy, oddly enough, for 370,000 though. But yeah, they're not gigantic imbalances. The ones that stand out to me, the one that stands out is probably Uber at 1 million shares. Let's just give a quick check to see what Uber is doing. Uber. Yeah, that actually moved to the downside a bit, but only like 8 to 9 cents. Not a big move to the downside. The sell imbalances might have given a little bit of help to Rivian here, but it's not really falling much. I got bids out a little bit tighter to where it is now because I got to get flat by the end of the day. So it's flat for me now. I'm at 23.28. It's at 27. Cent of the money's nothing, but we're going to have to cover this one anyways. And just to quickly finish the thought, it is hard to have your primary income be trader. That's not an easy thing to do. Like, it's not easy. Like, a lot of people want to, oh, I pay my rent, I pay my bills, I eat. When I fill out my tax return, my primary income is a trader, and it's making commission, right? Like, that is not an easy life. And trust me, I tell you that from going through it. Having a bankroll and saving money is absolutely everything, right? Like, your account is your, and for those of you, if you're a retail trader, you like the actual retail account that you have, that is your sustenance, right? And if trading is an income that you need, then just be frugal at the beginning, especially when you're young. I was lucky as all hell to be too young and out of university, so I didn't really have any responsibilities or bills at that time, and I took advantage of that fact. And I had friends that laughed at me when I wasn't moving out when I had money, and I didn't care because I knew what I had to do. I think we have to go to the desk for a quick little second for a little something.
Brought to you by IG.com. Trade Forex pairs like Euro USD with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and zero commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
Go. And that IG, you can always check that QR code below. 7 minutes to go here. What else we got going? Independence is overrated. Have dinner with your mama. Oh, the food is so much better. Although my wife throws down, so I'm like, she's a great cook and I suck. I'm okay, but she's just better than I am. I can admit these things. But yeah, it is so important to me. Again, just be frugal if you can. Trading is hard enough. If you're not it's easy to get that. When you start making money when you're young, it's really easy to just spend it. That's why I wear this watch. Actually, it was like the first expensive thing I bought. And I will never buy an expensive watch again because it ain't me. But I wear this every day I trade as a reminder of who I am and who I am not. So it's like, oh my goodness, you wear a nice watch. I'm like, I do, and I love this watch. But I also will never buy another one because I can always find something better to spend money on. I'm just not one of those people. Like, it's just if I see something really cool, I'm like, yeah, that's great, but like, look what else I can do with that money. Yeah. It's like I can go on a vacation with it. I got a lot of family I can be helping out. Like all kinds of things I can do with it.
Real estate's a great place to park it.
That's a great place to park.
So, yeah. No, Neil dropping some serious knowledge here, man. This is what I love about being on the floor with such experienced traders. Neil's saying he's traded from 2003. So you pretty much caught the tail end of the .com boom. You caught the 08. You're around for the 19. That's some crazy markets, and you know what? That's a lot of wisdom and a lot of experience that Neil is sharing. I hope you guys are listening to that, man. Like we are blessed to be in the presence of experienced traders here.
Yeah, well, the watch I wore was actually worn in a bond. I just put it in the chat. It's fine. It doesn't really matter. But look, family is absolutely everything. That's what we're all about here. We got 5 minutes to go. Stick around because there is still going to be an after show. We ain't messing around. We'll give it to you anyways. I am sure we're going to have a lot of fun. I want to get a lot of questions out of you guys. We have some stocks that we want to review here. Just give an idea what this market is still doing or not doing.
Oh. So happening now at the close. The close
Happening now at the close.
Yeah.
Happening now in 10 seconds, you're going to get a bit of a change in
Right.
the imbalances. NVIDIA is pumping higher despite the fact, the market's actually moving higher despite the fact we had sell imbalances. I don't think there's any trades left for me. I'm not going to put anything on in here, but we are getting a late day bounce. I will probably just punch out a Rivian manually. 355 has come and it's looking a little bit strong. I'm just getting out of that trade. First short, okay, but it never followed through because the market never broke down, and you're absolutely churning. I'm willing to bet that I'll look back at a firm and say, oh, no, it never broke 22. There's a wick high at 350 that got a little bit higher, but now it's actually beneath that 22 again. Tesla is definitely holding, breaking back out. No, good thing we didn't short that one. I almost talked myself into shorting this thing. Thank goodness we didn't do that because Tesla's breaking back out. Looks like it wants to end the week a little bit better than, it's down 5%, but it's not on the lows. There you go. It's not on the lows. It actually did not get to 241, so I never got to my dip price there on Tesla. Good, strong move. Chris Miller, how dare you want the Blue Jays to lose? Really? Are you just, sometimes I don't know if you're trolling me. You know I'm a big Blue Jays fan. We want the Jays to win. You must be in Seattle if you want the Jays to lose, which is fair enough. Cheer for your home team. Apple is flying right now.
Yeah.
Why will we win?
This market's blasting. That 451 kind of coming in. We haven't really gone too far off that these areas from before. So I'm definitely going to be keeping in mind some of these ranges that we've made end of day today and see if those ranges kind of come into play on Monday. That 15.5, that churn, give or take 50 points was all we did today, right? I guess 60 points to the downside, only 20 points to the upside, in and around that 15,500 there. And then the same thing with that 14, 15-ish area on the ES, right? I have 450 as a key area of interest as well, and we see that we have kept those lows today on the SPYs, and Apple still trending up, still super strong. If I can just pull it up right here, look at this right here. Okay, so Microsoft, yeah, I guess that was the bottom for the day, Neil. That 327 coming into play next week. Let's hope we're not missing this trade off of this level here. If this kind of comes in and interacts above and below, right? If we can distinctly get below, I'm going to be looking for the shorts. But if we kind of pop back in and do a little bit of this wick action on this, maybe more of the same in the coming week. But take a look at Apple here. Apple still hella strong off that consolidation break earlier in the week, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday consolidation, Friday, we're still right there, slowly creeping up back into that 190. Let's take a look left and see what levels are potential for trouble here. That 191 is the next level I see. We got a little bit of air in recent price action all the way up into that 191, and all week we've been slowly creeping up after a very accelerated Tuesday and Wednesday on Apple, pulling the markets up, kind of keeping these levels in check.
I got 2 things left for you guys. One,
Yes,
someone said in the chat something about Mullen's last day on the 5th. I'm not aware of anything along those lines. I have no clue. But if that is true, then rest in peace, Mullen. But more importantly, we got 90 seconds to go, and I just checked the old Lycometer, and it's at 5:15. Now, here's the thing. I feel like Obi's done an unbelievable job filling in all week, and I thank you a lot because stepping in, it's not an easy thing to do doing the full day, and I appreciate you doing that. The midday show was absolutely fire. I think it was a great day for the midday show as well. So guys, pay it forward, hit that like. Kat's not going to be on the bell. She's not, apparently, I don't know if she's recovered. I'm hoping she's feeling better as well. But in lieu of that, you know what we got to do. Whether she's here or not, I'm always going to hit it when I get a chance to. And that's do this.
Like and subscribe today.
It's easy enough to do, and last I heard, you perform better in your fantasy league if you hit the like button. So if you're drafting this weekend like I am, you probably need all the help you can get. I don't. I have Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, so I'm going to be in the playoffs pretty much the second the season starts. I don't have to worry about anything. That's how my team rolls. Oh, I like the ones that are coming up there. Hit the ones for the Ola. That's what it's all about. There is going to be an after show, 100%. I'll be right up at the desk, filling in for Sean. I'll have Brendo with me. We'll go over the usual rundown, review some trades, take some questions from you guys. I don't know who's going to ring the bell, but I see Fabian's making a little bit of a move as we get on into the close in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and ring it. Fabian looking stylish, and the jacket indoors. Jacket indoors. I don't know, man. It's not that. I'm in short sleeves here. You're in a sweater. It's all good.
It's always a little chilly in here. I don't know. I mean, it keeps the mind fresh, apparently.
Is it though?
I don't know.
I don't think it's that cold in here, but hey, it's been a hot market to trade because we've had the volatility in this market, whether you like it or not. I mean, an absolute boomer day for a stock like an AMD. While if you're trading Tesla, like AMD up 3.5%, Tesla down 5%, there's moves to be had in this market, and that's all we care about. So we're going to be heading on over into the after show in just a little bit. But again, I want to reiterate the fantastic job that was done today by the entire crew. Obviously, you know, always Brennan, yourself, I think doing an admirable job filling in, not just for myself. Max is away as well. We had Yanni do a great job on the midday show, along with Sharif, of course, and Adam for the first time. In 30 minutes, Adam, I saw the reaction.
Yeah.
Like, he hit the like for Adam today. It was his first day on the show. He dropped more knowledge in 30 minutes. Like, when I was a trainee on the damn floor, I got shut down like my first 7 days in a row. If someone asked me to talk about stocks in front of a camera for 30 minutes, I would have probably crapped all over myself and spewed hot garbage. He dropped science for 30 minutes for you guys. So hit the like for Adam.
Facts.
I think he did a fantastic job. Adam Warlock. I like that nickname. Adam is now Adam Warlock. You had me at that. How did the market finish up for you, Brendo?
Things wrapped up for the week. We are negative on the NASDAQ, but only just 0.13. So it is a red day when all is said and done. There was a nice move into the close there by not only a few of the big tech names, the guys were talking about Apple there, but the NASDAQ itself tries to push back up into positive territory. We don't quite get there. But when all is said and done, it is a bit of a nothing day. S&P 0.12 to the upside. So S&P positive, NASDAQ negative. That's a look at how things wrap up as far as the S&P is concerned. Energy stocks standing out here as notably strong, about 2% for both XOM and CVX. MRO, 2.7% to the upside. Nice day for MRO. I was just double checking, it was 2.7% as well for oil on the session. So big move up with the remnants of this Adalia, I guess it is, hurricane. Still making its way up the East Coast a little bit anyways. It has significantly reduced in size. Ugly day for Tesla, 5.3%. There was a number of minor headlines as we discussed throughout not only the pre-market this morning, but if you joined us at 2 o'clock, we were going over it again. So we'll see how things pan out. Remember, Tuesday, not Monday. We're back Tuesday, not Monday. Everyone getting a much-deserved long weekend. Here's how the banking group ends the day. Positive right across the board. Individual banks stood out all day long. JP Morgan, bit of a laggard there, but BAC, Wells Fargo, right across the board, positive when all is said and done. NVIDIA, ugly. AVGO, 5.2% to the downside off earnings. AMD, though, Intel making up for that and then some to the upside to the tune of 4% down here and 3.5%. Apple's positive. Google slightly red. Microsoft, Meta, and Oracle all slightly to the upside. I wanted to show this real quick. That's an ugly chart. And here's why. Yes, August, if you missed it yesterday, we touched on it a little bit. For the NASDAQ, August was the first negative month since February of this year, which is insane. But on top of that, we're now going into September, where historically, if you go back 25 years, which is crazy to think that 1998, Neil, was 25 years ago. what is going on with our lives. September historically over the past 25 years has produced a 0.5% decline in that time period. So that's what we have to look forward to going into the next month, which is not great, obviously. Here's how the SPY ends the day, back to the upside to the tune of, as I said, 0.16%. Green on the day if you missed it. Yeah, more jobs than expected, but there is a big but here. Not more than the prior month. So a lot of people were pointing to the fact that going back to July, we got that same exact, what was it, 187,000 versus 187,000. 170 expected this morning, comes out higher, but no more than the prior month, which is apparently a good thing if you are the market today, because we end the day in positive territory for the S&P, and NASDAQ ends the day basically flat. So that in a nutshell is going to wrap things up as far as Friday, as far as this week is concerned. It's September 1st. Everyone enjoy their long holiday weekend.
Let's get this party started. I mean, one of the things that we always talk about here when you're looking at the after show, we can review some trades. I know we want to be able to do that. And
throw up the rundown, guys.
Yeah, let's throw up the rundown here. I'm just getting myself situated. I actually have to log in